Hey, thanks for clicking on this video. A couple things we got to cover right away. If you clicked on it because you think it's a COVID-19 conspiracy theory, no, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm going to present you with a few facts. You can easily verify them yourself. I'm going to do relatively little speculating here, but I want to talk about a couple things I've discovered just in the last 48 hours, as well as something very interesting about the AI that seems to be taking more and more space in people's heads for how to find out things. So let's get right to it. I'm going to try and minimize the delay for production values. Recently, on Facebook, I came across a post by a person who I think probably leans into the genuine conspiracy theory group, which I don't automatically disdain, but I'm not a member of that crew. Neither am I a member of the crew who just believes everything that I'm told. I'm a little bit of a cynic, a little bit of a skeptic, and I have had to change my mind on a number of occasions when I found out I was flat out wrong about something. But this is the article, or the peer-reviewed paper that he referenced. I'm going to try and do this carefully. This is on PubMed. It is a genuine paper. It was done, as far as I can tell, and I don't know a tremendous about this subject, but I do have a medical background, and I can work my way through a scientific paper slowly and with some difficulty based on my background. And if you want to look this paper up yourself, it's relatively simple. It's on PubMed, and the PubMed ID, the PMID number, is 357, that's 357, 23296. That's PMID 357 23296. It's in the public domain. First, a couple things. When you're reading one of these scientific papers, if you don't have a scientific background or a background in medicine or microbiology or genetics, you have to tread very carefully because this is very deep water and you can drown quite easily. I frequently am up to right about here, just barely sucking in oxygen reading these, and I've had some practice. But my initial response to this person who posted, who said, this proves that mRNA vaccines, the Pfizer vaccine, messes with your DNA. My first response to that, because most of what I've seen the last few years in that subject has been borderline BS, and it gets irritating after a while because they claim these things and then the backup on it is very shallow. And frequently, when people quote papers like this, they don't understand what they're reading. And it is very, very easy to read something, especially in the abstract, where the authors describe what they did, okay, the abstract. It's very easy to read just the abstract and draw conclusions. But the problem is sometimes, even though they try to make it clear in the abstract, it's not written in layman's terms. It's written to scientists, to their peers, in their peer group, people who understand the terms, abbreviations, understand the subtext, the things that are not written in there, because it is assumed that the audience reading the article knows what they're knows this information. It's very easy to take exactly the wrong conclusion or a 180-degree opposite conclusion from what's being said. Now, with that preface, let me read you the underlined line. You can probably read it right there. It says, we also show that that thing there, the BNT6, that is the specific Pfizer vaccine, the version of the vaccine they're testing. mRNA is reverse transcribed intracellularly into DNA as in as fast as 6 hours upon exposure. Now, don't freak out yet, because in and of itself, that statement, even though it sounds very definitive, it's like, hold on, let's tap the brakes here and take a look at what is actually being said. I didn't jump to any conclusions. You have to read the whole thing. And this took me a lot of time to read. And honestly, I was going through it, and I came upon this sentence, this phrase in the discussion, okay, when they get through presenting all of the stuff. And by the way, this thing has 58 references. This thing references 58 other papers and other works, and I haven't hammered my way through all of those yet, but this is the real deal. In the discussion, they make this statement. Now, once again, let's go slowly and not freak out, all right? Time for freaking out is not yet here. Those of you who already have, back up here. Shift it in reverse, back up, and just pace me. Our study shows that the BNT162b2, hereinafter referred to as the vaccine, that's me, can be reverse transcribed into DNA in the liver cell line. They tested it in vitro, outside the body, in human liver cells. They don't stick it in somebody and then cut a piece of the liver out. These are liver cells that are kept alive so they can test things outside of human bodies. You know, no humans were harmed in the making of this experiment. And yes, that's kind of an inside joke. Haha, inside joke. This may give rise to the concern that the vaccine DNA may be integrated into the host genome and affect the integrity of the genomic DNA, which may potentially mediate genotoxic side effects. Okay, that's a pretty definitive statement. It appears that the mRNA can be converted to DNA. That's called reverse transcription. Okay. It says, goes on to say, we do not know if DNA reverse transcribed from the vaccine is integrated into the cell genome. So we don't know. Just because it was reverse transcribed, it became DNA. They don't know in this study, and they do not address it, that it may be transcribed. It may become a permanent part of the human DNA, the genome of the person who took the vaccine. It isn't saying it is. It isn't saying it isn't. It's giving no assurances one way or the other. The consensus, not in this paper, but the consensus is that it is not. But the fact is, this paper does not address that issue. Further studies are needed to demonstrate the effect of the vaccine on genomic integrity, including whole genome sequencing of cells exposed to the vaccine, as well as tissues from human subjects who received the vaccine. Now, here's the thing. They're saying in this paper, with 58 references to other papers and other scholarly or authoritative works, that the research needs to be done. The implication here is that this research has not been done, or if it has been done, these authors are unaware of it. Okay. Now, just to see what would happen, because this, my first approach to this, I took a slightly different approach than I have in the past, where I just hammer through these things, look up terms, try and put it together logically. I did something a little different this time. I used CHAT GPT. Interesting tool. Very interesting tool. Amazing potential. What I did was I went to CHAT GPT. I started the free trial, and I'm going to continue using it because honestly, it's pretty darn cool. And I asked CHAT GPT. I gave it the exact PubMed ID so CHAT GPT could find the article. And I said, can you summarize this paper for me in layman's terms? CHAT GPT said, yes, it can. Now here's where things get really interesting. You saw what I read. Those are 2 quotes from the paper. The abstract is just quoting the paper itself. So that's just saying it says that this is an abstract. I find a little slightly more authoritative quote in the text of the conclusion. ChatGPT, yes, it can. Went ahead and did it. ChatGPT's answer ran on for a few paragraphs. It said, thank you for providing blah, 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 blah. This study focuses on investigating the internal processes of the vaccine, specifically the BNT162b2, hereafter I will refer to simply as the vaccine, within human liver cells in an in vitro setting, that's outside the body in a laboratory. This is, I captured exactly what they said, or what it said. Okay, the researchers aimed to determine whether the mRNA vaccine, after entering liver cells, undergoes reverse transcription. Reverse transcription is a process where RNA molecules are converted into DNA. They used human liver cells line to simulate the conditions within liver cells. So that I'm repeating myself, but I'm just showing that simply ChatGPT is confirming what I've already told you. Reverse transcription is the RNA becoming DNA. Now, these results are important because they provide insight into the behavior of the vaccine within liver cells and confirm. Listen carefully. You just heard the quote from the paper itself. Those 2 quotes I gave you is the only place I can find where it definitively makes a statement. It does undergo reverse transcription. These results are important because they provide insight into the behavior of the vaccine with liver cells and confirm that reverse transcription does not occur. This information helps to address any potential concerns or misconceptions regarding the vaccine's impact on DNA in liver cells. Nowhere in this paper, which it is supposed to simply, ChatGPT is simply supposed to be summarizing it for me, summarizing it in layman's terms. This constitutes an editorial comment. It's not telling me what the paper says, it's giving me an opinion on the paper, which I didn't ask for. It says this basically addresses potential concerns. I could even excuse that, and honestly, the first time I read this response, I didn't catch this. And I went back and, wait a minute, what? If I ask for a summary, what part of this paper is this a summary of? I read through it. This is not a summary of anything. This is somebody explaining to me that this is meant to allay our concerns. But it gets better. The next paragraph. Overall, the study demonstrates that the vaccine does not undergo reverse transcription within liver cells. This solidifies the understanding of the vaccine's mechanism of action and provides, get ready for this phrase because you've heard it before, provides further confidence in its safety and effectiveness. I would even excuse if this paper said safety, because safety is a concern. Nothing in this paper addresses effectiveness. That paragraph is 100% an editorial comment. ChatGPT was pre-positioned to tell me that the vaccine, that I couldn't understand the paper, so I want ChatGPT to explain it to me, because I'm just the layman out here, and I can't understand all the technical terms. And it's ChatGPT, please tell me what this means. And the paper says, and the ChatGPT says, not to worry, Chuck. It's safe and effective and doesn't affect your DNA, and this paper says so. I'm sorry, that's not what the paper says. I'm not saying the paper does bad, that the paper proves or even gives strong evidence that it does things. All it's saying is that it provides evidence that reverse transcription takes place, which this CHAT GPT explanation clearly says it doesn't. But it gets even better. Because about, I don't know, 15 minutes after I talked to CHAT GPT on this, I went back to CHAT GPT in a new session. And I typed in the PMID again. But this time I didn't ask for a summary. I quoted the exact statement in the abstract where it says, we also show that the vaccine is reverse transcribed intracellularly and the DNA into the DNA as fast as 6 hours upon exposure. I quoted that. I said, can you explain in layman's terms what this phrase means? Gave them the ID of the paper, asked them to explain that exact sentence. Now this is going to blow your mind. ChatGPT Nova said this. The statement means that when individuals are exposed to the vaccine, a specific COVID-19 vaccine manufactured by Pfizer and BioNTech, the vaccine's genetic material can be converted into DNA within human cells through a process called reverse transcription. This conversion process occurs as quickly as 6 hours after exposure to the vaccine. ChatGPT just called ChatGPT a liar. Now, the second part of what I'm going to tell you, I'm sorry if I'm going to be a little bit cryptic. Okay, we're going to interrupt the tape at this point and not go into the second part. The reason for this, I'll give the answers to anybody, close personal friends who want to know what I said in the second half. I talked to you in person about it. I have fairly strong evidence for something else being fishy, but to protect my own butt, I'm not going to commit it to YouTube or any other social media platform. That's all I've got to say. We need to be concerned about the way AIs function, the way they're used. Not that AI is going to take over the world, become self-aware, and then consequently rule the world. But we're using it already. It's used for many, many, many things. And if we trust it too much and just start going with the machine said so on things, we're in danger of making grievous errors. First of all, because quite obviously CHAT GPT or other AIs can be designed or biased in a particular direction, and yet we'll maybe trust them. Second, because this is possible, they're going to be distrusted by people and at times when they should be used. We're in uncharted territory here. Nothing like this has ever occurred in human history, and I have no idea where it's going. All I can say is we had better be careful, because it could lead to grievous errors both in governance and economics and social order. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and be careful.